This evening on events in the central city of the Dnipro in Ukraine, and missile has struck a multi-story residential building, injuring 3 people. Those are the early reports. So you can see here the pictures from the aftermath of the incident. This is from local media. President Vladimir Zielinski has described the incident as Russian missile Terror Oxana. A reporter in the Newsroom Oxalo Kondarenko is watching this for us. Before we talk about the building, because you gave us some information about that just about 20 minutes ago, what sort of reaction are we getting from President Zielinski? President Zielinski has used very strong language to the Russian side. He said that they will be taken to an account to this terror missile terror, as he called it. This is quite unprecedented because President Zielinski himself has published a video from the Dnipro attack site. Normally Ukrainian authorities have been very cautious and careful about these things. They ask people not to report, they ask eyewitnesses not to publish anything on social media. The fact that President Zielinski himself has published it means that it is a big deal. Currently, he is talking to all the local authorities and taking the situation under his personal control. Okay, I'm just seeing some new copy here from this is from BBC Monitoring. Oksana, thank you for that. 5 people found to have been injured in that strike after all the flats in the building were checked. That's according to the Interior Ministry. The casualties included 4 men aged between 18 and 53 and a 77-year-old woman. All of them getting medical attention without being admitted to the hospital. I suppose there is an advantage is that this building was largely empty. I think let's speak to someone called Shahida Yakub. She's from the Dnipro. She witnessed the attack. Shahid, it's good of you to join us. I was just saying I'll get the impression, just looking at the pictures, that some of these apartments were empty. Is that correct? Some of the apartments do seem empty, but it's hard to say because it's Friday night. Obviously, some people were out. But when I was speaking to the bystanders, and a lot of people knew people who lived in that newly built apartments, they said that there were people inside. Just mind you that they're like residential blocks. There are 3 blocks and there were families there, so probably some kids were inside. But because of Friday night, a lot of people might have been out. So that's one of the things. What is truly shocking about this Shahida is the recklessness and the lack of care for any residents in the city. It probably tells us that the Russians really don't care where they're firing these missiles, and they don't have missiles that are accurate. What's it like living under that sort of terror at the moment? Do you always run to the shelters, or does it just become too much to keep going to the shelters? I can say to you is that there's nothing safe here in Ukraine, anywhere in Ukraine. Travel across the country every day. So we thought that Dnipro is more, let's say, safe because tomorrow we have to go somewhere else. But hey, no, about the references of the attack, just opposite those residential blocks, there was a building of a Ukrainian secret service, which is from my conversation with a Vapor resident, but empty for a month. And Russians targeted obviously that building and the nearby building. Yes, but we've seen this already in Ukraine over and over again. The residential houses and apartment blocks are being hit, so you never know where it's going to land. Like I was walking on the street just to get to the shop, and there were banks, and the next thing we think smoke and fire. Yeah, 2 incoming bombs. I've only got a minute left, Shahida, but is there no air protection in Dnipro? No, anti-aircraft missiles there. Well, the problem with this particular attack, there was no siren before the attack. I think the Russians were using something ballistic. I'm not a weapons expert, but something which the anti-aircraft defense couldn't notice before it happened because there were 2 strikes and then 2 minutes later we had the siren. So I think that the anti-aircraft defense system didn't notice those missiles. Right? That is the problem. Shahida Yakub in Dnipro, thank you for coming up and explaining to us what happened this evening. 5 people injured in that strike on a multi-story building in the Dnipro. The President Vladimir Zielinski has called it Russian missile terror. We'll keep you updated on developments in the Dnipro. Do stay with